Hi, I'm Big Ben, and welcome to this week's episode of Equip Tips. This week is going to be dedicated towards safety. That's right, you heard me, safety. And in regards to safety, we're referring to the safety of you, the photographer, the safety of your clients or subjects, and the safety of your equipment. Within that, let's start off by talking about making your set or making your studio safe. And one of the biggest peeves that I find is that as I was consoling my friend Mr. Speedlight here, is that I see a lot of shots and a lot of sets I go on, both movie sets as well as photography sets, where I see either continuous light sources such as 1,000-watt lights or even speed lights like this placed on a light stand with no sandbags on them. And the problem is with that is that they are going to fall over. It's more a matter of when than if. And the problem is if these start falling over, not only are you going to ruin your flash that you saved your pennies for several months, but you're going to end up hurting yourself or someone else. And so with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about sandbags. We've all heard of sandbags. You've seen them put on stands before. But when we go and start looking at sandbags, we find out that they're pretty expensive, and not all of us want to spend our hard-earned money on sandbags, right? I mean, I'd rather be, dining in at my nearest Olive Garden or saving up for my next lens. I'm not going to go splurge and spend $50 on a sandbag. So I was researching and finding some of these DIY, do-it-yourself, and budget methods of weighting down your light stands and your equipment. And I've seen a lot of guys use water jugs, and they'll get a water jug and fill it with water and hang it from there. I've seen some guys, they'll, literally just tie it to the ground and stake it. I've seen lots of things, but the best method that I have found, and it costs very little, is the use of ankle weights. Now, these are your typical ankle weights that you can find at any box store, such as your local Happy World, Wally World, or even some of your sporting outlets. And get the heaviest ones you can. These are actually 10 or 15 pound bags. And what's good about these is that I can get a set of them, two of them, like for $10. So I'm paying $10 for two bags. They come with Velcro, and so you can always Velcro them to the shafts of your light stands. You can Velcro them to whatever you need to. And the other really neat thing about most of them is that most of them are zip-ups nowadays, where you actually have weight pellets. The weight bags are inside. What's good about that? Well, say like I'm out shooting in the mud, or I'm doing a trash the dress theme, or I'm shooting newborns and the baby ends up peeing on it. Whatever happens in life as a photographer. But at least you can take these out. You can throw the cover in the washer. You can go hose it off with the garden hose and let them dry. So these are very versatile, and they cost virtually nothing. And it's just one of those things where you can't skip out on. Safety is so important. You need to weight down your light stands. Whether you have a large monolight or a small speed light, you need to do that. Let's demonstrate this. So you can simply just throw them on. And if you're a strobist and on location and you've got your umbrella hooked up to this guy, we all know what happens when you put an umbrella outdoors. It's going to blow over. And what's good about these weights is where if I'm in a location I need to move around a little bit, I can still pick these up. The weights will stay there. You can have your assistant or one of your unused voice-activated light stands walk around and carry this for you and sit it down. So again, that's ankle weights, and that works really well. Another note on safety that everyone needs to be aware of is protecting your lens. In one of our other episodes, we touched on using UV filters on your glass. Well, the other big protection that we can use is our lens hoods. Most of our lenses come with a lens hood. One thing, they look really cool, and if I have this big guy on here, you're gonna, oh, look at him, he must be a professional, look at that big lens. It makes our lens look 10 times bigger, for one. And number two, it gives us a nice little shield from clunking against stuff. So when I'm out and I'm shooting and waddling around, You know, if I clunk something, it's going to be clunking the lens hood and not the end of my glass or my filter. So go ahead and use a lens hood whenever you can. Even on my small 50mm lens, normally it doesn't come with a lens hood, but I went ahead and got an aftermarket one, a third-party one, that's just a small rubber gasket grommet, and even that protects the glass a little bit. So be sure to use a lens hood on your lenses to protect your glass and protect your investment. The last thing I want to talk about, actually it's not the last thing, is electricity. When we're talking about electricity, we're talking about plugging stuff into the walls. And if you're a strobe user or you're using continuous lighting, or those of you out there in the video world that are using tungsten lights or even light panels or LED lights or fluorescent lights, please make sure that if you're using a 3-prong cord, that you're using a 3-prong outlet. Please ground your equipment properly. I've seen too many guys hurt, electrocuted, and bit by electricity when they don't need to be. Inspect your equipment before every shoot. That includes your electrical cords. Check for any cuts in the wires. Check your camera equipment. Check your batteries. Just normal stuff. Clean your lenses. Another good idea, format all your memory cards before you go out on the shoot. Just normal common sense stuff will go a long way. The more you prepare for your photo shoot, the more you prepare to go out, whether it be just going out and taking some pictures of your kids playing Little League, or if you're a professional photographer shooting that big wedding. The more you prepare beforehand, the safer and better you'll go into it. The third thing I'd like to touch on, and this is a lot coming from a big guy like me, is health. Please make sure that you drink plenty of water, that you get plenty of night's rest before a shoot. And the big thing is make sure that you don't consume or drink alcohol during work or during the shoot. There's a lot of issues out there today with photographers that are consuming alcohol with their clients and models. I know this is a touchy subject, but if we can have a little bit of professionalism, hold that off till after the shoot and we're on our own time. It's going to help our industry, it's going to help us, and your photos are going to go a long way. I'm Big Ben with Equip Tips, and I bid you happy shooting.